Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kobina. In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to build a text-to-audio converter on AWS. At the end of the video, you learn how to use services like AWS Lambda, S3, API gateways, Poly, and some few other services. Let's dive right into it. I will quickly jump and then we will discuss our architecture diagram. So, as I indicated, it's a very simple application, and then we have our front-end component of the application, which is going to be hosted on S3, and then in the backend we have some API gateways and some few lambdas. So basically what happens is when a user uploads something to our front end, it's being stored in an S3 bucket, and then we have a lambda doing a processing. And basically what the lambda will do is the lambda using Amazon Poly will convert it from text into an MP3 file. And once everything is done, it will send it through an email, and then you're going to use Amazon SES for that. So I'll quickly start with the implementation. Alright, we are going to start by creating our first S3 bucket. So basically this is going to be a storage solution. That's where we are going to store our uploaded text and then PDF files. So I'm going to quickly create a bucket and then name it test to audio uploads, and then let me add my name. That's one. Please always remember your S3 bucket has to be globally unique, so you can't use the same name. Just put your name there or put any other thing there, but the bucket has to be globally unique. You are going to leave everything as default. You are going to block public access. You are not going to enable version for this project. And then I'll proceed to create my bucket. So as the bucket is creating, we will proceed to create our first Lambda function. So basically, all the code for this project is going to be in Python. I'll do also leave a link to the code base in the video description below. So don't worry, I'll provide you access to that. I'm going to call this Lambda generate upload URL. So let me download generate test. Come on, man. Generate test upload URL. As I said, the language is going to be in Python, so you come to your runtime, and then I'm going to select Python 3.13, and I'm going to leave everything as default for now. So I'll proceed to create my first Lambda function. So what this Lambda function is going to do is, this Lambda function basically is going to generate a Presigned URL. That is when someone wants to upload a file to our S3 bucket through our UI, right? This Lambda will generate a Presigned URL so that people can upload files into the bucket securely. Remember, when we were creating the bucket, we ensured that we had blocked public access to the bucket, right? If you remember this place, we did not enable it, so no one can access our bucket. So for us to be able to upload stuff securely into our bucket, we will just have to generate a Presigned URL and then do that. And this Lambda is going to do that. So the code for this Lambda is pretty much simple. As I said, don't worry, I'll do all to provide you a link to that code. Yes. So now, so this is my Lambda code. We just have to make some slight changes. So I'll start by doing that. I have a couple of environment variables that I have to declare. So I have this bucket name. So what I'll do is you go to configuration, and then you come to environment variables, and then you can edit that. So I'm going to add this, and then I'll pick the name of my bucket, right? So this is the name, and I'll paste it in here as the value. Yes. So I'm going to save it. So now I've set the environment variable for this, and then for now I'm going to come to the configuration and then change the timeout. So I just want to change it to say a minute so that Lambda doesn't time out when we are trying to generate a presigned URL, anything. Yeah, so we will come back and then work on the permissions later if need be. Yes, I'll proceed to create my second Lambda function. So I'll come to Lambda functions and then I'll create it. So this Lambda function is going to be called convert text to audio. So basically, this Lambda is also going to be in Python. Always remember, our Lambda function for the project is always going to be in Python. So what this Lambda function is going to do is, this Lambda function will basically do the conversion, right, from the text to audio using poly, and then also the same Lambda function is going to send our email through SES. I'll do all to give you this Lambda code also. It's a very simple code. Basically, all that we're doing here is we are just setting a couple of environment variables, which we'll do shortly, and then we are sending our email using the send email API, and then we are kind of generating the text to audio that is using poly. So that's pretty much it, all that this Lambda is doing. So you can take your time and go through it, but I have to set a couple of environment variables. Yeah, you can always pass them by default, but it's not best practice to have them in here. So I'm just going to remove them from my code itself. And then I'll set them as environment variables properly. Yes, so now, just as we did the last time, I'll go to configuration, and then I'll edit, and then I'll add an environment variable bucket name for this. And I have another one. I think the other one is send email. Then we come in here. So this is our bucket name. I'll grab that real quick. I want you guys to see this thing step by step. We'll go through the debugging process if there are errors and everything together so that you appreciate what you're doing the more. So for the purpose of this tutorial, we are making use of SES, that is the SES in the sandbox version. So if you want to use a particular email, right, the email that I'm entering, if I want to receive email on a particular email address using this SES, what you have to do is you have to verify this email. So I have to ensure that this email address that I'm passing here is verified. So we will quickly do that. So let me just search for SES, and then in SES, I'm going to ensure that I have this email address verified as an identity. So if you come in here, this is the email address I entered. I've already verified that. But if you don't have your email address verified for your account and then you want to do it, you just come to SES identity, and then you create an identity. You select email, and then you put your email in there. Once you click on create an identity, it will send you an email, and then it's the email require you to click on the link to verify. It's pretty much straightforward. Let me try and see if I'll get you the link that I got while I was trying to verify this thing. Email. Let me try and show you that also. Good, correct. So the email looks something similar to this. So once you click on it, it will show you a congratulations message, and then it will indicate on the system that your email is verified. So that's pretty much it. So now that we have that set up, and then we set up our email address and everything for our Lambda code and our environment variables, what I'm going to do now is to proceed to set an event-driven something between our S3 buckets and then our Lambda function, right? Always remember, what is going to happen is when you upload files through the UI into your S3 buckets, right, it's going to trigger a Lambda function, which in turn is going to do the conversion from text to audio and then the sending of the email. So in order for us to do that, we are going to configure our S3 buckets to send an event, right? We are going to create an event-driven something solution, right? So that's how you can do that. Let me quickly look for my S3 bucket. Sorry guys, this is my first tutorial on camera, so it's a bit shaky, but I can assure you that it's always going to get better. So once you come into your S3 bucket, just come under properties and then you scroll down. You will see event notifications, and I'm going to create an event notification. So there's going to be my first event notification. I'm going to call it convert docs to audio, and then under that I would have a prefix called uploads / and then a suffix .docx. So basically what this means is I want this Lambda to kind of do something for me when a file is uploaded to this part in my S3 bucket. And then if the file ends with I want that to happen if the file ends with a .docx. So I'm going to select the event type. That's going to be a post and a put event. And then I will select my Lambda function. So now I'm going to select our convert test audio Lambda function we just created. And then I'll click on save. Alright. I'm going to create another event. I'm going to create another event for PDF files also. So I'm going to call that convert PDF to audio, and then it's going to go through the same folder, uploads, so .pdf. Now select put and post. So I'll have my same Lambda function, that is convert text to audio, and I'll click on save changes. So basically what is happening as again is we want our Lambda function, this Lambda function, right? If you look at the Lambda function, we want this Lambda function to be triggered when someone uploads something into this bucket, and then we are indicating the path that inside the bucket, if someone uploads something into an upload folder, and then the file ends with either a .pdf or a .dos, that's when this Lambda is going to be invoked. So if you look at the Lambda initially, there is no trigger to this Lambda. But after setting up the event notification and all, if I come in here and then I refresh this page, you will see that now there is a trigger to the Lambda function itself. There is a trigger, and then if I come in here, you realize that it links to our S3 buckets, and then it indicates the configurations with it. That if someone uploads into this prefix, that's into this folder, uploads folder, and then the file ends with .docx, we want it to trigger this function. Or if it goes into the upload folder and then it ends with .pdf, we want it to trigger the Lambda function. Alright, so I'll come into my S3 bucket and then ensure I have those two folders created. So I'm going to create a folder. So the first one is uploads, and then I'll create a folder. I'll create another one for audio. So please pay key attention to the configuration. That's the S3 event notification that we created, right? Because we are using the same bucket for our upload, and then we are using the same bucket for the audio storage and then the upload of the CSV file. If you don't set your event notification properly, you end up creating a loop where when you upload any file, right, if you don't add these filters and extensions and surfaces and prefixes, if you upload any file, it will end up invoking your Lambda function, and that's not something you want, right? Else, once the Lambda function generates the PDF and then it uploads it back into the audio folder in your same bucket, it's going to trigger the Lambda again. That's the key reason why we created the event notification, and then we added uploads and then the .pdf and then the .docx prefixes. So that's just a note. So first, we are just going to do a quick test to see. I expect this thing to fail either permissions issues or timeout stuff. But as I said, I want you guys to appreciate it and then see the process you go through when working on solutions like this. All right. So now I'll come into my S3 bucket. I have some files on my local. I'm going to upload it into our uploads folder for now. So I'll click on add files. I think I have an Amazon Connect overview PDF, and then I'll click on upload. So what I'll do is I'll come to my Lambda function. That's the convert text to audio Lambda function, right? And then I'll click on monitor and then view CloudWatch logs so that you'll be able to see what happened when you uploaded the files. Guys, let me know if you want the video to always be in this format. I don't want to heavily edit them. I want you to see the process, how to test it and everything. All right. So this is my audio file, and then if you look at the event, if you look at the time, yeah, it's 3:52 p.m. So this is the event that got generated. Let me come in here. I expect the Lambda to fail for some reason. Oops. Sorry guys. So I feel after adding my Lambda function, I'm not sure I deployed the Lambda code. Oh, that's a good thing for all of us to see. So you see, once you create a Lambda function, you always have to ensure you deploy it before the changes occurs. So when I came into my logs, if you guys could see, I had nothing going on for me. So I was kind of skeptical as to what was happening. So that's a good thing. All right, so now let me go again and re-upload the file, the same file again, into the same folder so that you get some events and then see the necessary errors you want to see. Okay, so back to my CloudWatch log. I should have another event. So if you can see this, click on that. All right. So I'm going to expand everything. So this is our first error. It's saying something that's unable to import model Lambda function, no model name PDF. And then I can see, is there any other error? I think that's the only Lambda error as it stands now. So let's try and then see what is happening. So we are getting that error because in your Lambda environment, right, there are lots of libraries and models that works behind the scenes. So if you see, we have both 3, we are importing a lot of things. Most of these things comes by default, but there are others that you have to manually add them. So if you are working with a Lambda function and then you want to add a particular package which the Lambda environment doesn't support by default, what you can do is to add that as a Lambda layer. So in our case, I think we are making use of something called PyPDF2, and then that PyPDF2 or the PDF reader doesn't come by default. So what we are going to do is we are going to add it as a Lambda layer. So when it gets to Lambda layers, there are some layers that comes by default into your AWS account that you can make use of. And then if you don't have the layer, what you have to do is to create your own layer, and then you can add it. I'll try and then make a simple video on how to create Lambda layers. But for now, I already have a zip file on my local. That's for that particular Lambda layer. I'm just going to show you guys how to add the layer to it. So I'll come in here. Under this section, you will see Lambda layers. I'm going to open it in the browser tab. I'm going to create a layer. So I'm going to call the layer PyPDF. Sorry. PyPDF2. And then I'm going to upload the zip file. As I mentioned, I already have the zip file on my local. If you would want to see a video on how to create your own zip files or for your layers, please do well to leave it in the description. In the video comments below. Right, so let me come. I'll select my runtime. That's the environment that's going to be compatible with. And then So I said we are working with Python, so I'm going to select a couple of Python runtime so that I can make use of the layer. Right, so create. So now I have this layer. So what I'm going to do is, once the layer is created, I'm going to associate this layer with my code. That's my Lambda code. So I'm back to my convert Lambda. And then I'll scroll down. Once you come down, you will see Lambda layers. I'm going to add it. So I've now created that Lambda layer. I'm going to select it. So as I mentioned, AWS by default have a couple of them, pandas and parameters, security store extensions and all that. But because we don't have that, I went ahead to create our own layer, the PyPDF2. So I'm going to select that, and I'll select the version. I think now I have just one version, so V1, and then I'll add it. And once I do that, or once I do this, what is happening is we've added this model to our environment. So I'm going to upload the file again and then see the kind of error, whether we are going to get the same error or not. Upload, add files, the same PDF file again to get a new set of events. Come in here. So I'll go back. Yes, so guys, I really want you guys to see all these things happen in real time so that when you are working on your solutions and all that, these are the processes you'll be going through as a cloud engineer or as a solution architect. So if you can see, this is the most recent invocation of our Lambda. Once I click on it, if my layer is working, we shouldn't see that error again, the error that we were getting initially. Alright, so now we are getting a different form of error that we will solve as we proceed. So now we can see that when we proceed to upload a file, a PDF into our bucket, it's invoking a Lambda function and then you are getting the events and everything. So if you look at the event structure, it's saying this is the bucket name, right? And then we uploaded a key into this folder, and then this is the file name. So yeah, it's working up to this point. Alright. So now I'll proceed to the next phase, and then what you are going to do is to create our UI or deploy our UI. So what you are going to do is you are going to basically host it on S3 also. So I'll come search for S3. I'm going to create another bucket. This bucket is going to host our web application, right? So I'm going to call it test2 audio UI app. Let me add my name, Robbie, to it. And then for this use case or for this quick demo, I'm just going to enable public access so that you can easily enable our buckets without any complex configuration. So once I do that, I'm just going to create the bucket. So let me search for it, test. I think good. So what I'm going to do now is to enable static web hosting for this bucket. So once you come into the buckets and then you come into properties, scroll down and then you see static web hosting. Click on edit, and then I will enable that. So I'll put in index.html. So basically this is going to be the more like the landing page or the home page, the default page. When someone accesses our website or our web application, this is going to be the first page you are going to see. So I'll do that. So I'll click on save changes. So currently what I have is this is the web application that you are going to deploy. I have it running on my local. So I'll try and then show you the code. So this is the whole application running on my local. So what I'm going to do is to upload this file into our S3 buckets and then try and then access it and see. Yes, so I'll come back to my page to see. Alright, so after enabling the static web hosting, right, we can now see our URL to access our web app. So if I click on this and I copy it, and I paste it in here. Currently, I don't have any file in there, so I expect to get an error. Okay, continue, save, access denied. We are going to fix this error shortly. But before that, let's quickly upload our file into our S3 bucket. That is our index.html file. So I come to upload. I have the file on my local. I'm going to select it, and then I'll upload it into our website bucket. Good. Now that I've uploaded my file, I'll proceed to solve the permission issue we were getting, the access denied issue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bucket policy that allows anyone to perform a get operation, right, to our website. So now I'm going to just add a policy, bucket policy to it. So this is just allowing public get objects so that people can access our website. So I'm just going to change the ARN. You can get your bucket ARN from up here, and then I'll save it. And once I save it and I come to my website again, click enter, and there we have it. Now we've deployed our web application up here, but this is just a static web application. We've not configured anything in the background, right? So we won't be able to upload it. So I'll quickly do a simple test for you guys to see. Try upload our file. We should get an error. Enter my email, select a voice Matthew. We should get a form of error. Right, so it's not happening. Let me come to inspect. So if you can see, we have to replace certain URLs and stuff like that. So that's the error we're getting. So now we are going to configure that and fix this issue. But this is how we have simply hosted our web application. So anyone with this URL now can access this web application. So now the next phase is we are going to API gateway to create our API that will link our front end to our various Lambda functions in our backend. Yes. Guys, I really want you guys to see all these things so that as you build, these are regular errors as I see that you come across it. If you are enjoying the video, kindly feel free to like and then subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I can promise you that I'll do all to provide you with more and solid AWS projects like this. Alright, so I'm going to create my first API. In our case, I'm going to create a simple, since this is a simple application, I'm just going to create a simple HTTP API. So I'll click on build, and then I'll name it test to audio API. And then for now, I'll just click on review and create. Then I want it to automatically deploy the API as you make changes to the API. This is just a simple application and all. So I'm just going to do that. So for this project, we are just basically going to create a very simple route, and then since we are uploading stuff from our UI into our end, we are going to choose method type to be a post request, and then now I'll add the endpoint how I want to access my API. So I'm going to call it, my endpoint is going to be generate dash upload dash URL. So this is going to be my endpoint. I'm just going to click on create, and now I have this. So one other thing we are going to do is we are going to integrate this API endpoint with our Lambda function. They generate test upload Lambda we created first. So if you remember, as I said, when people want to upload from this web application into our S3 bucket, we are kind of generating a presigned URL that will allow them to upload stuff into our upload bucket, right? Our upload bucket. So I'm going to integrate this API endpoint with our Lambda function. So once you come to integrate and you click on this, you create an attachment, and then I'll select Lambda as the integration target. So I'll search for our generate test to upload URL, and then I'll click on. Please always ensure this is enabled so that it will automatically configure the necessary permissions for you. Now click on create. So now I've done that. The next thing will be for me to do something called enable something called CORS. So CORS is basically what allows our web application, right, from our browser to send API requests and all that. So it handles the headers and all those necessary configurations. So I'm going to basically configure it. So I'll click on configure, and for our project, I just want to enable all origins. I wouldn't want to restrict it. For the headers, I want to enable all headers also. And then for the method, I want to enable get, post, and then options for CORS. So these three should work. And then I'll leave everything as it is and then click on save. So now we have our API enabled and created, right? So what you are going to do is I'm going to now integrate this API with our UI, our front end, and then update my UI, and then we will test upload to see how it will fare. So now let me try and then open this UI on my local. That's my UI code on my local to see how it will go. So this is the file we uploaded, right? This is the file we uploaded. And now that we've deployed our API, if I come to stages, we will get our URL. That is, if I come to stages, we will get our URL. So this is the URL that we can integrate our backend, that's our Lambda functions, with our front end. So I'm going to copy this. And then now in my code, if you come into the code, I'm going to give you access to this code also. You will see a portion where I say replace. So I will just paste this thing in here. And then this is my URL. So this is the endpoint, right? If I come back to the API gateway again, and I come to the route, this was the route I created, the generate-upload-URL. And then that's the same thing here. So if this then that doesn't match, you won't be able to access our API endpoint that you've created. So just note that. Alright, so now that I've done this, I'm going to save this file again on my local, and then I'm going to upload it into our S3 bucket. That is in our website bucket. So let me come in here. I'm just going to update it. Yeah, once I upload this, then it's going to replace whatever it's in there since the name matches. So there's no need for me to delete it. So click on upload. So now I've uploaded the HTML index.html file into the S3 stuff. And then if I come in here and then I try to upload this thing into our bucket. Yes, let's see, we are getting some few errors, syntax errors here and there. That's fine. We are going to quickly fix all these things. Let me test again and see, just to be sure. Let's select Matthew. All right, getting this error. So now the error we are getting is, although we're able to, when we try sending the application from our front end into our S3 bucket, there is one other thing we have to enable. That is because the files are coming in from a web application in your S3 buckets, right? In the audio upload S3 bucket where we are storing the files, we have to enable calls for that also. We have to enable calls for that bucket also. So I'll quickly come into permissions and then I will enable that too. So guys, as I said, this is really what happens when you are building your actual application and all. You get the errors and then you fix them and all that. And then once you do that, it gets to a point in time where you know all the potential errors. So once you are building them, you just include them and involve them. Yes, so it is what it is. All right. So now I'm just going to quickly add this thing and then I'm going to change it. So I came into the bucket and then I'm editing this call. So if you realize, I'm just adding some method just as we did in the API. So I'm adding that this bucket should allow us all these method and stuff like that. So I'll click on save changes and hopefully this will fix some of our errors again. So let me come back to my UI and then try and see if I'll get something slightly different now. Okay, let me select a file again. And then come in here. So we're still going to get errors. That is fine. All right. So now let's keep up and then see what is happening with our upload URL. So now that it's integrated with our front end, I'm going to this generate test URL lambda to see what is happening. If we click on upload from our UI, is the upload really indeed happening or it's not going on? All right, so I think these were the changes that the test I did and then the logs for that. Good. So let me try expanding it. Oops. So I feel something is happening in here. Did we deploy this lambda too? Did I deploy the lambda? Nope, I did not. So guys, you see, if you create your lambda function and then you forget to deploy it, so what is happening is anytime I click on the button, what is happening behind the scenes is it was running the default lambda snippet that we saw there. So that's why we are not seeing anything sensible in the CloudWatch logs. So now let me come here again and then click on upload. And then once I click on this, we should, yes, so we are now getting upload fail. And I'll go back to our CloudWatch logs and refresh it and see what's happened. Good. So now, as we can see the event, now our UI is working with our backend perfectly. So when I click on upload, right, see what is happening. Everything is coming in fine. And also let me try and see if I can see. So I can see this is the file and then it's uploaded the file. The voice I selected from the front end and everything is now coming in. So now this component is working fine. So let's see what is causing our upload to fail. If you want to see, I'm just going to select something else so that you realize that indeed we are making progress. So upload, select the email, and then for now, let me select Brian and then upload. The upload should still fail. Upload failed. We will try and then debug and then see why the upload is failing in this case. But if I come to the CloudWatch log for the generate test URL, which one is the latest? Let me click on this. I feel this is the latest. All right, so if you see here, this is the latest log, right? The upload details, we selected Brian as the voice, and then the email address I entered, and then the file extension and some few other stuff you are checking in code. So this component is working now. Now let me look at this Lambda log. So if everything is working fine, once this gets invoked and then the file gets uploaded into our S3 bucket. Let me come into our S3 bucket and clean things up a bit. Let me clean this thing up a bit. Then we can upload it again from the UI so that it will make perfect sense for us to see. So now there is nothing in our S3 bucket, right? But from our UI, I'm going to try and upload this file. So once I click on upload, I see upload failed. We are getting this upload failed because our system is not really working end to end properly. That's why. But if I come into the S3 bucket now, where is this, and then refresh it, if the first Lambda is working, well, let me check the logs again. Do I have everything configured properly? It's generated a Presigned URL successfully. Good. So now our Lambda is generating a Presigned URL and everything, but we are failing to have the file uploaded into our S3 bucket. So the potential cause of this is this Lambda needs the permission, right, to upload files into the bucket. The Lambda requires the necessary permissions to upload the files into this test audio file bucket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, and then I'm going to modify the Lambda rule and permission assigned to it. So once you come to configurations and you come to permissions, I click on upload. So I'm going to add permissions to our Lambda to allow our Lambda to perform these put operations. So once I come here, the service you are working with is S3. And under that, we are trying to upload stuff into the bucket. So the permission is going to be a put object. So I'm going to search for put object and enable that. For this case, I'm going to select all resources, click on next, and I'll give my policy a name. So I'm going to call it S3 put policy. So create. So basically what this permission is doing is it's allowing our front end now to put items or add objects into our S3 bucket. Good. So once I come in again, let me try again and see what happens. Refresh, upload successfully. Okay. So now, by fixing that permission issue, if I refresh in here, you realize that we have a file uploaded in here. That is the file we want to convert. I'm kind of rechanging the name and stuff like that to handle certain things in the convert code. So now that you've generated a Presigned URL, the initial component is working. So now our UI is able to upload files into our bucket. So what we expect to have is our email now. So to do that, I'm going to check this second Lambda logs. That is the convert text to audio, because now, if you remember, we created a system in such a way that when the UI upload the file in here, right, if it converts and then puts the file through the UI in here, we want to convert it using our second Lambda, and then once we convert it, we want to receive our email. So now our first Lambda is working perfectly fine. So let's go to our second Lambda and then see what happened when the file came in there. So I'll just go to CloudWatch log for that Lambda. If you're looking for where it was, I said you come to monitor and then you come to CloudWatch logs. And once you click on this, it will open it up for you. Fine. So for all the uploads that for the upload that I just did, you should see it in here. So if you look at the time and then my local time, it's very similar to that. So once I click on this and I drop down, you can see this Lambda now is being invoked. The file name that we generated, right, automatically generated with the voice and all that, as we have it in the bucket. I can see it in here. All right, so in our logs, now we get another error. And this error that you are getting is basically coming in as a result of our Lambda not able to read from the file in the S3 bucket to convert it into audio. So we are going to work on the permissions for that also. So I'll come to look for IAM, open IAM in a new browser. Sorry, let me quickly just do it from the Lambda console itself. That's make it easier. So under permissions, I'll click on this to access the role that was created by default for the Lambda. So now I'll come to this and I'm going to create an inline policy just as we did for the other Lambda. But in this case, the first error we are getting is around this line. That is, let me search for S3. And then we require permissions to do get object. So the permissions we need, one is we want to be able to get the objects, and then also we require permission for list objects, it's list bucket rather, and I'll click on all, I'll select all, and I feel looking at Lambda will require some few other permissions, so let me just add them once and for all. So because we are using SES, we require the permissions to send an email using SES. So that's one other permissions we need. So I'll add it. So I'll search for SES, click on it. Then I'll look for SES, send email. And once I click on the send email, I'll click on all and then next. So now I've added two of the permissions that we need as at now. That is one permission to allow our Lambda to list the S3 buckets and then also get objects. And then also we've added a permission to send an email. I feel we still require permission to use poly. So I'm going to search for that also. So I'm going to look for poly, service poly. And then what permissions are you looking for? If you look at the code, I think it's poly, and then let me see. We want to select this permission and then resources. I'll select all. So this should fix all the permissions issue you have for our convert text to audio Lambda. So basically the permissions are, we need one for poly, we need some for SES to send the email, and then we need others too for us to access S3. So oops, I need to give my policy a name. So let me do convert test policy. Your policy name can be any other thing. So hopefully now back to my Lambda. Let me just proceed to increase the timeout for the Lambda to prevent timeout errors also. So I've saved this. So now let me go back to my UI and try uploading another file and see what happens to this upload. The same email address that I verified. In this case, let me select Matthew and then click on upload and let's see. So now I have uploaded successfully. So let me check the email to see. First, let me just go to our Lambda logs to ensure that everything is working fine without any errors, and then we can then check our email to see what is happening. So the latest upload I did is this. Oops, we are still getting a Lambda error. So it's telling us that we need to add a put object. So when you are trying to get in an error when we access denied for calling a put object, blah blah blah. So why we are getting this error is, you see, we have a situation where after converting it from text to audio, we want to upload it into this audio part in our S3 bucket. Sorry, let me come back. We want to upload it into this audio folder. but we don't have the permission to do that yet. So I'm quickly going to adjust the Lambda permissions again. The policy we just created, I'm just going to add a put object permission to it, and then we will have our permission issue solved. So guys, this is really what happens when you are building the solution and then you are deploying them. Little by little, you fix your permissions, you get them, you go to CloudWatch logs and all. So put objects. I really want this tutorial to be friendly as possible. Most of the times when you are watching these tutorials and then you see errors, you don't see how they manage to solve the errors and then you get stuck. So I really want you to see the process. I go to CloudWatch logs and come and do everything. So now that I've added this permission, let me try and then upload the file again, and let's see our Lambda errors, Lambda logs or something. So the same email, because that's the only verified email. Now let me select a new voice, Brian. All right. So upload successful. Okay, and then refresh page. All right, so I've done that. Now let me go back to my convert test audio Lambda to see what is happening. I think probably the latest invocation should be somewhere in here. So yes. So now if you can see at this time, that's when you get the error. But after making the changes and uploading it, with the new events coming in, we see email sent successfully, right? Email sent successfully. So if that's the case, if I check my email address, I should have that email in there. So I'm quickly going to open and then share my email. Yeah, so this is my email address. Let me see. If I don't see it in here, because it's not a verified domain, probably it will go in here. So there I have it. So if you look at the time, the two files, right, come in here. And then there you have it. So if I click on this, I can now proceed to download my audio MP3. And then I can now play it on my local.
Amazon Connect overview. Amazon Connect is a cloud-based contact center service provided by Amazon Web Services.
So where is this audio file? Let me get it from my local and play it quickly. Should be in my downloads folder. Or let me just download it again. Seems to see. Once I click on it, the file is downloaded. So now if I show you guys the download folder, we should have that in there. So now this is the audio file we just downloaded.
Amazon Connect overview. Amazon Connect is a cloud-based contact center service provided by Amazon Web Services, AWS. It enables businesses to deliver better customer service at lower costs by providing tools to set up and manage customer contact centers efficiently. Key features of Amazon Connect: omni-channel support, supports voice, chat, and task-based customer service. Scalability: scale your contact center up or down based on demand. Integration: easily integrates with AWS services and third-party applications. AI and ML capabilities: enhance customer experience with AI-powered solutions like Amazon Lex. Pay-as-you-go pricing: only pay for what you use without upfront costs. Use cases: 1. Customer support: deliver seamless and personalized customer interactions. 2. Sales and marketing: improve customer engagement and sales outcomes. 3. Employee help desks: streamline internal support for employees. Benefits: quick setup, launch a fully operational contact.
Yeah, so now this is how we basically build the application, right? So a brief overview, a brief recap of what we did. So we started by first creating a S3 bucket where we configure the bucket to have an event-driven or an event notification with the Lambda function, which tends to convert our files from audio, sorry, from text to audio, and then also sends an email, right? So we did that, and then we created the two Lambda functions. The generate upload URL Lambda function was basically generating a Presigned URL to allow people to upload their files into the upload folder through the UI, right? So that was why we did that. And then also we went ahead to do some small permission issues and permission configurations and all that. So linking our front end to our back end, we went to API gateway and then we created an HTTP API, which we then integrated it with our generate Lambda function. And then now we went through some permissions issue. We did face some permission stuff here and there, and then we were able to receive our email. So I'll do all to leave a link to the video description. So I'll do all to leave a link to the code in the video description. You can access that and then download all the code needed to complete this project. If you have any questions, feel free to drop in the comment section and I'll be glad to provide assistance and then help you with that. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and wait for more.